Welcome back, the Improv Podcast. I'm your host, Zane Shaw, and today me and my friend Fidler will host an improvised interview with made-up characters played by the other person.
Welcome back. I am your host, Fidler. If you've been wondering why there hasn't been an episode of the podcast in a while, it is because all of us here at the Welcome Back Studios have been absolutely glued to our TV screens for the Laser Boxing Federation Championship that has been going on in the past few months. These matches have been intense. These 3-hour plus matches where we just watch some of the best laser boxing that's ever happened in the world. And it's the final four right now. We are in the final weeks of the championship, and it is down to 4 combatants. And we have been lucky enough to have one of those 4 combatants out of the ring and into the studio, so to speak, to talk about their process and what they're looking forward to for the final four. Here now and welcoming to Welcome Back Studios is Jensen von Tuffle. Welcome to the program, Jensen.
Thank you for having me, Fidler. I like to get my words out there, you know.
Absolutely. You know, words isn't something you use a lot of in the laser boxing ring, so it's glad to hear you.
It's mainly lasers.
It's mainly lasers. So first of all, for those of us that have been living in a cave, which I know is about, I think, 75% of our listenership.
It's grown the amount of people on the...
No, absolutely. Tell us a little bit about the grand sport of laser boxing and what it's like for you to laser box.
Well, okay. Well, first off, for people that don't really know, laser boxing was invented in 500 AD, back when lasers were first discovered.
Exactly.
And the second that people discovered it, it got so out of control that people started going haywire with the lasers, and we had to keep it underground. And then it recently popped back up here in 2018. So it's recently just been going on now, and that's obviously why people are so connected to us, because we are just fucking killing it.
The resurgence of lasers after so many years.
And the thing is, who's not going to want to watch laser boxing? Now, for the one person out there that has not been watching us day in, day out, doing our thing, because as people don't know, this is a 24-hour long match. And I'm not saying that this is a 24-hour like telethon. It's a 24-hour match.
The match itself lasts 24 hours.
We fight mano a mano for 24 straight hours. And
it's pure laser boxing.
And people might think, is this laser tag or is this boxing? And I'm not going to say it's a combination of both, because it's very clearly not. We are not fighting with just lasers or our fists. We fight with lasers in our hands. Very much like Iron Man. Except we also get to kick a lot. Just a lot.
There's a surprising amount of kicking, actually.
And it's in unorthodox rule in laser boxing, where people would a lot of the time think, oh, you know, you gotta knock them out, you gotta pin them down or something like that. No, we really have to burn each other's hearts out with the lasers. And I don't like to brag, but I'm damn good at it. I'm damn fucking good. I'm here because I'm alive.
Because you're in the final four.
And also, if you don't mind, could I just really quick, just in case, get the reason I came on the show out of the way?
Absolutely. If you got some sort of PSA or go for it, yeah.
I just wanted to reiterate my will really quick.
Oh, yes, of course.
You know,
Last Will and Testament. Have some sort of log for it.
To my puppy dog, I'm going to leave my estate that I've got with all my millions of earnings. To my wife, fuck you. To my husband, you're a great man, a great scholar, and I wish you many moons of luck. And also, stop drinking chocolate milk. You know you're lactose intolerant, you son of a bitch. And last but not least, to Hermes Radcliffe, if you're listening, Hermes Radcliffe is this one boy. To Hermes Radcliffe, if you're listening, I just wanted to say I did eat your salmon tuna sandwich, and it was really fucking good. Oh, that feels so good. That's all I have to say.
I can see the stress that just poured off of you, that just like sloughing off of you like a cocoon.
I knew that if I didn't get that out before someone burned my my heart out with a laser, I would have died full of regret. And now, if I die, I'm good to go.
Exactly. No, it's you can pass on to the next world free of any leftover hanging guilt.
That's another important part of laser boxing, is they don't just try and find people that like boxing or that think lasers are so so damn cool.
Because that would just be everybody.
That would be everybody would love to fight like Iron Man. Why wouldn't you? I mean, shoot lasers out of your hand to kill people.
Exactly.
Who doesn't love that? They find people that have literally nothing to lose, and it's kind of like making homeless people fight.
Exactly.
Except we're not homeless anymore. We get paid an insane.
Well, you have the estate
money.
that you're leaving to your puppy dog.
Exactly. Well, so I will be homeless.
If
then.
you die.
Yes.
As most people are.
Yes. As most people nowadays have found themselves tragically falling to death. But yes, laser boxing is a very...
Yeah, it's like you mentioned finding people with nothing to lose. I don't want to be too personal, but I'm noticing the cybernetic enhancements that are just sort of caking your body. Not only the surgery that has to be done in order to outfit the lasers into your hands for fighting, but also the strategy that we've noticed you've been taking is a lot of the sort of bio armor that is around your heart and chest and other vulnerable areas in laser boxing. Tell us a little bit about what that process was like and coming to terms with your enhancements.
Well, the reason that the enhancements exist is, a lot of people don't know, is laser boxing works as a once a year, or it's supposed to be once a year. It's now going to be reoccurring. March Madness, if you will. So there are about 125 of us that all fight.
An incredibly easy number to seed a bracket with, 125. Nice round number.
Which lasts 24 hours each single day. So that's 125 days out of your 365. And what people don't realize is with this money that we get from the tournament, from our sponsors, from just crazy people that throw it at us.
Yeah.
And what we can do with it is very much like upgrades in video games, where you can give yourselves better speed, better strength, except literally, like...
You're doing it to your body.
Literally. We are actually able to implant shin replacements that will give us faster speed in the ring. And a lot of people, I want to explain this real quick, because I know a lot of people have the wrong picture in their heads. This boxing ring is not a square. It's nowhere near a square. It is very much like the Wipeout obstacle course, except we are fighting against each other. It's not a race. It is fighting like in a boxing ring, except we're shooting lasers at each other while getting hit by giant red balls. And the thing about this is now we need to enhance our speed. We need to enhance our strength. We need to enhance our dick length.
Your ball resistance.
Exactly, our ball resistance. We need to enhance, like I was saying, our dick length, because we need to understand that for 24 hours, we need to know how to be an arrogant prick for a lengthy amount of time.
Really keeping up the level of banter and sort of the male rivalry that goes on for that long.
Our dick length and our ball resistance is key.
Because if you didn't have that, you would end up being friends after like a few hours. But you really need to fuel that envy by just having a better set of genitals than your opponent.
We cannot allow ourselves to become friends. There is no way in hell that you can have a good laser boxing match if you are friends with the enemy.
And the only way that you can hate someone for 24 straight hours is by being incredibly jealous of their penis.
Exactly.
So thanks for talking about the process for a little bit. Now I wanna to sort of get people hyped up for the rest of the tournament, because we are in the Final Four, and Mr. von Tuffle, you are sort of in the Final Four, as it were. Your next match coming up tomorrow is against Count Sideways, who has been really just jonesing his way through his half of the bracket. And tell us a little bit about your strategy going in, how you feel your chances are, which of his signature laser moves are you worried about? Just really open up about your match with Count Sideways.
Well, I should mention about myself, for the enhancements that I've got, my armor around my heart is very key against Sideways, because that man is a miracle worker with the laser, and it sucks because if I could, I'd sleep with him, but I know that's against the rules of laser boxing. That is very specific.
It's the first rule of laser boxing.
It is the first rule. Do not sleep with another laser boxer. And
the fight not fuck clause.
Exactly. We have to live by a strict code of rules. Fight not fuck. Fuck after fight. Don't fuck again. Don't tell the laser boxing corporation that you fucked. Fight not fuck.
Exactly.
And it's in that order. And I got the arm around my heart. It need that protection. I got the implants in my elbows so that I can bend my arm a little faster.
Exactly. With all the metal and wiring, it's a little difficult to bend your arm if you don't have that elbow edge.
Exactly. I got enhanced big toes so that he can't break my big toe.
He's been doing that to pretty much every single one of his opponents.
I've been hearing that, and so I took precautions. I made sure that I was ready for our fight.
Exactly.
And mainly because I know that if I lose, I'm I'm dead, and so I need to...
And he's going to fuck your corpse through the heart hole.
Exactly, but fight, not fuck, then fuck after fight.
Exactly. No, once the fight is over.
Exactly, that's how it works. In case people don't know, if they've ever seen this movie called Inglourious Bastards, they scalp the Nazis. It's basically like that when we die, except they fuck us through the heart hole.
Yeah.
And it's a very beautiful act. A lot of people don't realize. It seems like it'd be a very gruesome, taunting, discouraging act. It's rather beautiful. It symbolizes a filling of a hole in a heart that was once left there, and now you're filled by me. But the thing about Sideways is...
count Sideways.
I mentioned what I've done to my body to enhance myself for our fight, but what I didn't mention is what he's done to his body to enhance our fight as well. The thing about Sideways people don't understand is this man is sideways. He is if you imagine him laying on his right side, his feet and his legs are there, and then his right side is laying on top of those legs. Now his arms are still in the same spot, so one of his arms is on the ground, the other one's up in the air. But the thing about this man is he gets such a new angle on the fight.
Quite literally. The man is a walking angle.
A whole new perspective. And it's this right angle of a man that leaves me baffled in my dreams, haunted in my sleep, making me think...
It's because he's hunched over like that, it's how he's able to break his opponent's toes so easily.
Exactly.
Because his arms are just right there.
He's just right there, and he can just punch right into my big toe. And the thing is, a lot of the time, a lot of us fighting Sideways think that he's fallen over, and so we think that we have this upper hand. But what's really happening is we're about to bend over and ask him if he's okay, because we're not supposed to become friends. But if someone's falling over, I mean, you've got to check.
No.
You've got to check on him.
Courtesy is very important.
We want to make sure it's a fair fight. You don't want to just
especially with all of the cybernetics and the obstacles in the course. It's very easy to not get up after you've fallen.
Exactly. So a lot of us go check on him. Boom, laser to the heart, fuck me through the heart hole. It's a very simple structure for that man. He's got it down pat, and even though a lot of us know about him being sideways, it's something that's still.
When you're in the thick of the fight for 24 hours, sometimes you forget very obvious things like that.
Something that I never saw coming, because I was thinking, all right, maybe he's going to get armor around the heart, maybe he's going to get faster legs, maybe he's going to get a third arm. Who knows? He could get anything with that money. He's got twice as much money as me. What I didn't see coming was the fact that he flipped the way that he was sideways. And now he's turnways. This throws me off. Yes, now he's recently, within the past hour, I'm glad that you caught it, he announced on Twitter that he is now going by turnways.
Exactly.
I mainly mentioned sideways for everyone that's been listening, but the people
exactly.
that have been following him closely at heart.
It's like how the Stoneham Theater now calls themselves the Greater Boston Stage, because they're trying to put themselves more into the theater circuit, but they're fucking Stoneham Theater. There's absolutely no reason for them to try to ingratiate themselves into an established Boston theater scene. They just need to fucking stay in Stoneham like the bunch of losers that they are.
That's what you get when you live in the theater district.
Exactly.
But I digress. The thing about him becoming turnways is he's no longer laying on his right side, he's laying on his left side. And this is literally a 180-degree turn for me. It is a whole new ball game for me. Even though it's the same ball game, it is laser boxing.
Exactly.
The thing is, as we go on, the obstacles are fine for the first 125 of us, and then as you mathematically, very calmly get to the final four from that equation, it progressively gets harder. Now the thing is, what we're going to be doing is fighting at night with glow sticks everywhere, just everywhere, and we're going to also have this cyanide pill wrapped up under our tongues. Now we're not going to swallow it. We're not going to let it dissolve. That is a whole new aspect to the game. This with laser boxing, you can only do so much, because I could shoot him with a laser from across the field. Now that wouldn't be fair. That wouldn't be a fun fight. Now would it? We need to have this race against the clock thing. Now what a lot of people don't realize is even if you try not to make a cyanide pill dissolve, it's going to dissolve in your mouth. That's how it's going to work. But there is an antidote in the middle of the course. Now what we're doing is we're fighting for the antidote. And there's a respective amount of rule there that you can't kill the other person until there is no way to live. We can't just kill the person and just be like, you're dead, I'm going to save my life.
Doesn't make for good TV.
It doesn't make for any good TV. Just ask the Kardashians. I don't think you understand everybody.
No,
in
yeah,
the world.
I hate all of those episodes where they just end up killing the other Kardashians 5 minutes in.
Exactly. And the thing is, we got the cyanide pill idea from them. There are a lot of episodes for everyone that's watching Keeping Up with the Kardashians, or Keeping Up with Them, I should say. Oh, I get the name of the TV show.
Right, that actually is very clever with them, because you have to keep up with their crazy cyanide antics.
That's exactly what it is. It's a bit of cyanide and it's a bit of happiness. Now, the thing about this show is a lot of the time they will have cyanide pills under their tongues, but then Bruce... my bad. Bruce Jenner, I did it again, I'm sticking with it. Would come in and talk to the girls and say, here, drink this. And then they'd feel better and they'd say, why do I feel better? And he would say, well, honey, it's because you were killing yourself. And then then it would do the title card of the show.
Exactly.
We got this idea from them that we needed.
But you've then added, you have not only enhancements under your tongue that slows the dissolving process, but it also edits in your bloodstream that makes sure that it takes the cyanide exactly 24 hours to kill you unless you get the antidote.
That is the important part, is a lot of people don't realize cyanide kills you real fucking quick, and if you don't get the enhancements, you're not going to fight for 24 hours. Now, the thing about this, people ask me all the time, is endurance a problem? Are you tired while you're fighting? Did you just want to fucking kill them with your lasers already? And of course these things come into mind, but like I said, you need that amount of dick length. You need to increase your dick length to be a good laser boxing fighter. If you don't have a good dick length, you're not going to last a long time. Now, that's just etiquette. A lot of people, before the match even, prematurely can't handle going anymore. They're done with the
exactly. Plus, with all the enhancements that you've added to your body for combat reasons, all of those cybernetic enhancements need battery energy. But you've upgraded so many different parts of your body that there's nowhere to put the battery except in the dick. So not only for intimidation purposes, but you actually have to increase your dick square volume, or DSV, as people in the pro sort of use that term, DSV, in order to store more battery power.
Exactly.
Now our timer's running a little bit short, so I have one more question that I know the fans are excited to hear about you. So you're fighting the artist formerly known as Count Sideways, now Count Turnways, in your half of the Final Four.
Yes.
On the other half of the bracket are two also very formidable opponents. You've got the match going on between Thundersnot and the good people of Bronson, Missouri. Now, if you can talk a little bit about that match, is there one of them that you think is going to favor? Is there one of them that you're a little more worried about meeting in the ring with either Thundersnot or the good people of Bronson, Missouri?
Thundersnot, let me just say right here, right now, I can't stand the guy. Mainly because when we all got our lasers implanted into our hands, he decided to get them implanted into his nose, and nobody knows why. It's a catch-on thing for him.
Yeah, it makes it really hard for him to aim.
It makes it really hard for him to aim.
He's got to lean back so it can come right out of his nostrils.
Really hard for us to tell when it's coming, too. I mean, we're supposed to be able to tell. However, on an obstacle course, he could be running with his head up. But the thing is, we can see when people are shooting with their hands.
Exactly,
when they're
it's
putting their
very
hands
easy
out,
to tell.
We can get ready to dodge and whatnot. But when someone lifts their head up to shoot out of a nostril, not only is it going to fire out of two separate directions like that, as you know, he got his enhancement so that his nostrils are on either side of his face.
Exactly.
Not necessarily.
And if you're not careful, you can get caught between the two lasers, and then that just gives him the perfect opportunity to kick you.
Exactly. Plus, he does this face where he scrunches his nose, and what he does is it brings the nostrils together as one, and basically scissors you, as you would. And if you don't have a good dick length, there's this whole thing of
the aperture of it really screws you up.
The ball resistance and the dick length, you're just gonna get scissored.
And what about the good people of Bronson, Missouri?
The good people of Bronson, Missouri, I've had nothing but respect for them, unfortunately. And as people don't understand, this is, as people know about Siamese twins, this is about 7 people collectively put together in one. And a lot of people don't think it's fair that they have about 14 arms. But, it's live and let live. It's this good, about, I think all of them are about 6 or 7 years old. And they all have 2 feet, and I didn't mean collectively, 2 feet, but they all have their own pair of arms. So it's about 14, 15 arms. 7
children, 14 lasers, all conjoined in the good people of Bronson, Missouri.
I realized that the reason that they were allowed to laser box is they really don't have anything left to live. I don't know how much you can do because they only have the 2 feet, one on either side.
They're parents who were actually 28 conjoined parents, and they all gave birth to this conjoined pile of children.
It made sense in the context of the heredity of the family, correct? But the thing about this family that I've realized is it's a soul-touching story. It really hits you in the heart hole. It makes you feel like it's fair that they're in there because it's hard for them to run the obstacle course, even if it's easy for them to fuck you up with as many lasers as they please.
Exactly.
With Thundersnot, I know it's going to be a difficult matchup, but I really hope that the good people of Bronson, Missouri pull through because, me saying that,
it just makes you enthusiastic about the fact of being able to kill a bunch of children.
I've got to have good dick length. I'm not going to lie. I've been a lot more sincere on your podcast than I have in my fights.
You're really getting to how important and all-encompassing the dick length is.
If people don't watch me a lot of the time in laser boxing, I am exactly like Tom Hardy in the Bronson movie. I go full ham. I go absolutely bananas on everyone. It's psychopathic comedy mixed with as much violence and aggression as you can get. And I wanted to be polite on your show, mainly because I needed to leave some kind of good mark if I don't come out of this fight with Count Turner.
And which is why we appreciate your will and testament as well.
But if I did have to be honest, I would have a lot of fun killing the good people of Bronson, Missouri.
Just 7 horribly disfigured children.
I want Thundersnot to be dead just because he's a dick, but I want the good people of Bronson, Missouri to be dead because they're just good people.
Exactly. Well, Jensen von Tuffle, thank you so much for coming on the program.
Thank you so much.
I'm sure all of our listeners are incredibly excited to see how these fights play out. And if you make it to the end, a hearty congratulations. And if you don't, well, now our listeners know what your last wishes are.
Yes, I want to reiterate that. My last wishes being that I want to fuck 14 Siamese children in their hearts.
That kernel of truth really did sprout into a wonderful piece of popcorn.
Keeping my dick length
and
ball resistance alive, just to make sure.
And on that note, we will be right back.
Von Tuffle, the snot, 7 children. Wake up, eat a bagel, such a bagel, go to sleep, sleepy time, have a dream about the bagel.
Fuck yeah. Welcome back. I'm your host, Zane Shaw, and thank you, Fidler, for that rousing story. I know that I've been glued to my TV watching laser boxing all day long, and literally all day long because it's 24 hours, and unfortunately, Laser Snot has been killed. They have come to that conclusion that Laser Snot has been killed, and the good people of Bronson, Missouri are now going on to fight our previous guest. Fascinating. Love that I met the guy. Hope that he doesn't die, and we'll see what happens later this week. Now,
absolutely. Well, I'll get out of your hair and let our guest get into the chair.
Thank you very much, Fidler. Now, as our guest sits down, this is my guest, and he's a phenomenal man, inspiring to many and humble to others. He is the last man to sit down after the duration of a standing ovation, and he, we must say, has been honored with the first pair of solid gold legs made strictly out of melted down Nobel Prizes from before 1980. Yes, real gold. Now, this man, just saying his name, it gives me a pride. I'm sorry, I am a little bit flustered to be around you right now, but please welcome to the podcast with me, Little Ole No Legs.
Yes, it's very good to be here on the podcast and to talk about my legs.
Yes. Now, the thing is, a lot of people don't understand why you're called Little Ole No Legs.
Exactly, because I have the gold legs from the prizes won by people with the smarts.
Yes, but people really don't know about your backstory of before you had the gold legs. And if you want to fill anybody in on what that was like.
Well, it's because I had the person legs back before I had the gold legs, and I am not assuming that everyone out there is knowing what it is like to have the person legs, but I will talk about it. It is like, you know how you start with the top of your head and it is made out of person. You have the hair, and then below it you have the skin and the bone and the meat of the mouth, and then you keep going down. You get to the shoulders, which, I know a lot of people are self-conscious about the shoulders, but they are still made very much of person. And it goes all the way down the arms to the fingertips, and then you route back a little bit to go back to the shoulders, so you go down the torso and down to the waist. But then the interesting thing is that when you get past the waist, usually when the legs if at the point where they would become a solid gold melted down Nobel Prize pre-80s, as you do with me and I assume maybe some other people, they are still ending up being made of person, and it is really quite fascinating.
Yeah, a lot of people don't understand what it's like to have person legs.
Exactly.
I know that I have human legs, and it's a completely different topic. But you growing up with person legs, I'm sure that gave you a lot of influence into being the last person standing in a standing ovation. I know a lot of people don't know this, but back when Kanye... This is just an example of where you were getting your start. Back when Kanye was doing that whole thing of he refused to keep singing until everyone in the stands was standing and that one person in the wheelchair couldn't stand, and he didn't believe that they were paralyzed. You stayed standing. And even once everyone finally sat down and was like, what the hell was that? You stayed standing, which was a very brave thing of you to do. Now, I do want to touch on the fact that you stand after standing ovations, and I wanted to discuss how that really started, where you really, that grew with you.
Well, it was really my own little personal fuck you to the people performing, because I like to turn around and do the ironies on the people that I watch. And yes, I am sorry. Your producers are telling me that I need to move away from the microphone, and I completely understand. I guess I have a very comfortable close-up person usually, and it is a little more difficult.
It comes with the person.
No, but anyway, the standing up at the standing ovation. It is in my mind. It is poke at karmic revolution on the ego of the person that is performing, because they think. It is unfortunate that they are like, yes, I am so good at what I do that I want everyone to stand and clap for me, and I want it to last forever. But then, because I am hypocrite, I eventually want them to sit down so that I can keep talking and being myself. And the way that I think about it is, it's like, all right, you big bastard pile of mashed potato ego, you want me to stand up and clap for you, I'm going to stand up and I'm going to keep clapping even after you want me to stop clapping. So then they have to come to terms with, if they really point out to me and say, excuse me, I need you to sit down so that we can move on and it is not awkward. One person standing, I can be like, oh, I'm sorry. I thought you wanted us to stand up and clap for you. Is this not what you want? Are you really just a pile of stupid and you expect these things of us and then you just want us to stop? You want to turn us off and off like light switch on wall? It is not nice, very Dutch, thank you, sir, so I will stand.
That was a beautiful explanation.
Thank you.
I can see that you're very driven in this whole standing ovation.
It's really just to put it one over their heads like sheep wool.
That's a beautiful reason. And I do have to say, because you've been doing this for years now, I mean, you were even awarded with the gold legs for doing this.
Exactly.
And it's not even that it was just gold. It was specifically Nobel Prizes from before 1980. I mean, that is a huge honor.
Exactly.
Now, after all the rewards and the press and the attempts that you've had with this, I know that there have been many good, many failed attempts, but that's how it goes in a career.
Many of both.
Is it starting to feel more like a passion, or is it now kind of feeling a bit like an obligation, like people expect
to be standing up at the standing ovation?
Exactly.
It's well right now it is a bit more of an obligation because it's very difficult to not stand when having the legs that are being made of the gold. Because I'd have to say, if I'm not very good with math persons, but 90% of the act of sitting comes mainly from the bending of the knees. And with the gold, it's actually interesting because originally we had gold legs made of the Nobel Peace Prizes that were awarded after the 1980s. And something about the nature of the gold that they are making the Nobel Peace Prizes with is a lot more stiff and locked up after 1980s. I think it was because before then, when the people had their Nobel Peace Prizes before 1980, after a few years of putting it on trophy shelf, it would start to droop because gold was not necessarily as solid back then.
Right, it was a wall squid.
Exactly. So for a while, it was very definitely locked up with the joints when I had the post-1980 Nobel legs.
Yeah.
And it was difficult for me to sit or really do anything that involved the bending of the knees. But then once we realized, someone put it together that since the pre-1980s Nobel Peace Prize was more flaccid in shape, it would be easier for me to make legs out of that because then you have sort of the natural bendiness that comes with that. So, but in terms of obligation or passion, I'm sorry, I get very off track in these things.
No problem.
I would definitely say that there's still a bit of passion in it because it seems every year there is more of these performers that is very obsessed with the likes and the refaves and the do tweets
and so much sort of important things. So it's really important for me to continue the crusade of just really exposing how hypocritical these people are.
That was another thing that I was going to touch on. I was feeling that passion. I could tell how driven you were, and I'm pretty positive. A lot of that comes from the fact that you can feel that competition between you and the artist while they're up on stage. You can feel, now that people know your name, people
really
know
just
your legs,
being a thorn in the side of the person.
A lot of the fact that, you know, the stage lights will shine down and glisten on your legs now and literally just blind the crowd. So
exactly.
not only are you
ruin a lot of camera lenses with flash.
Exactly. Not only are you now hindering them by standing and clapping, but you're also ruining the experience for the other people around you. You're ruining the camera shots.
Well, it wakes them up because they are the sheep, and otherwise they are with their phones. It is like camera jerking off person on stage.
Exactly like camera jerking
off. So I'm ripping their hands off of famous penis and say better things for you to do with hands.
Which honestly, I find so inspiring. You inspire me to be a better asshole every
Exactly.
day. Now, I do want to ask, because this is a concert scenario for you.
Exactly.
You know, you go to
sometimes I go to college lectures, but mostly concerts.
I was gonna ask, is it spreading to more events?
Really, just wherever there is some prick that is making people clap and stand up for him, I will go and clap stand up so much that he is very sick of it. It is like my father, when I grew up, and he caught me with a cigarette that I had stolen with him, and he made me smoke an entire pack of cigarettes at the same time, sort of all bundled up like a bunch of dynamite and just sort of lighting it on the end, and now I do not smoke.
Well, there you go.
So I do the same thing. It's like I am shoving standing ovation down throat of ego person that I have caught with one ovation and say, you'll never do this again because I will make you sick of it.
As was well deserved, especially any lecturer, college professor that makes his students
people clap
stand up and clap for him.
These liberal arts people, he's horrible.
It actually happens a lot. Trust me, I've been there. Not a lie. Now the thing is, I gotta ask, because you're rocking the gold legs. How are the legs?
How are the legs? The legs are gold. The legs, like I said, it is a little droopier than my post 1980 legs, so it's a little easier to get shape out of them.
Right. Okay. Do you still have your person legs?
My person legs, yes, they are in freezer in basement of my home.
Super small.
And why I keep them there preserved is because every now and then I must do maintenance on my pre-1980s legs in order to make sure that they resemble person legs, because it reduces the idea that I no longer have my person legs in a sort of phantom confusion. Like sometimes still it is little personal for me. I wake up in the middle of the night and I look down, and if in the darkness sometimes if my gold legs look like my person legs, it is not as scary as me waking up and looking down and seeing that I have these weird sort of bumpy, not really solid legs. So by maintaining them and sort of doing a life imitates art or gold imitates legs kind of situation, by making sure that my legs resemble person legs, it is more difficult for me to painfully dissociate during times if I wake up and the sort of nightmares that I sometimes have when I wake up and I realize that my legs are made of gold. I mean, during the day when I have the sound of mind, I have mostly made peace with the fact that I have the gold legs, but you know, sometimes in the vulnerable hours of the sleeping, it is nice for me to wake up and even for a moment pretend that I still have my regular person legs.
A lot of people don't really know your backstories of growing up with the person legs, eventually getting the gold legs, and not all people understand it is a blessing and a curse. The curse of having that tragedy of wondering if they are person legs or not, and if their droopiness is going to last forever, all of the consequences and uncertainties. Of course, it's hard to understand exactly where we are in your shoes.
Exactly.
But a lot of people...
Well, it's also difficult because my shoes have to be specially made for the gold feet.
Exactly, because not only do they have to be able to not rip with the gold feet, but at the same time, they have to look nice, comfortable, and casual. I heard that you actually have your own shoe line.
I do, yes. It's the shoe line that it's funny because I create it and it is just for myself.
Right.
Or at least for wearing. A lot of people buy them as the status symbols, like to say like, oh, I have the shoes of Mr. No Legs who has to wear them because he has the gold feet.
It's like the Lonzo Ball shoe.
Exactly. But it's like I make them for myself, and then if it turns out that I can also make good buckets of money by selling them to people as sort of useless status items, I will do that. It is sort of another part of my hypocrisy crusade. In the same way that I stand up and do ovations for people, it's like, oh, you want to own shoe just so you can say you have same shoe as gold leg person and have no actual use for it? Well, you have to pay $400 for a pair of fucking shoes.
It's interesting because I'm really feeling your driven energy and your arrogance.
Exactly.
I think a lot, just in case you haven't been watching, have you been watching any of the laser boxing that's been going on?
I try to, 24-hour commitment is a lot, but sometimes when I am not on Home Shopping Channel, I will flip over occasionally and see the boxing.
Of course. I was wondering if, maybe, do you think your dick length inspired the resurgence of laser boxing? Do you think your dick length had anything to do with this communal 125
you see, I don't know if it is really inspiration because you know how when you make a happy birthday sign and you never understand how big the letters are going to be and you kind of run out of room and have to sort of add things on and eventually it sort of ends up looking like monstrosity.
Yeah.
So I will tell you when constructing my gold legs, if you can imagine the anxiety that comes out of making sure that I get shape of my legs correctly so I do not wake up in middle of night and worry about legs not being human. Imagine anxiety tied into penis, where if it does not look exactly like the dick that I know and love from growing up as human boy, it's caused anxiety during day and night. So in crafting gold legs, many hours was spent making, every crease and wrinkle and hair was sort of perfectly recreated. But because it is so specific, I would keep adding to it to try and get the perfect consistency and the shape of it. But as I was adding material, of course, in trying to get it perfect, of course, inevitably dick gets longer and bigger because I'm just adding more and more raw material, and eventually it's sort of Frankensteinian shame ending up with something that is so much more monstrous than I ever could have wanted because I was just trying to make it look like regular past penis.
I get you. I feel like I can relate to that.
Exactly.
In the mornings and in the nights and every night.
Exactly.
And every morning. Now, I do have to say, because I thought that your dick length and even the balls of your feet with your shoes, your ball resistance had a big part with laser boxing.
Resistance, yes.
There are a lot of things that have been rumored and we're not entirely sure.
I will clear air like fan.
Within your string of appearances and concerts and whatnot, a lot of people wonder how you do this so often, can do this for so long.
Exactly.
And a lot of people really wonder, do you gain the abilities of the folks that earned the Nobel Prizes before you, that are within your legs?
You are asking like it is some sort of Mega Man situation where I defeat them and suddenly I am gaining fire and bomb abilities.
Quite exactly.
It's, well, not exactly in way that you are thinking, like terms of video game or laser boxing enhancements where I am somehow imbued with their knowledge. But what will happen is that in my home and in public appearances, I will be accosted by the winners of these Nobel Peace Prizes, asking for some sort of retribution or at least monetary compensation for losing their things, and I will say, yes, of course, I am a very rich man selling all these useless fucking shoes to teeny boppers. I will give you the compensation you require, but in return, I also ask that you teach me your ways and all that you know.
The teeny
so
bop.
it's well, no, I ask the Nobel Peace Prize winners to do this.
To do the teeny bop.
I'm sorry?
For the Nobel Peace Prizes to do the teeny bop.
See, now what I am thinking is happening is that I say teeny bop, which is a very funny word, and now is in front of your mind like pustule, and I have to pop it because it is simply a word that I used for metaphor of describing who I sell these shoes to. No, it is these very smart people whose trophies I have stolen and turned into my legs and penis, and now they are teaching me what they know so that they can feel a little bit better about me walking around with their Joneses in my legses.
Well, that's very good to hear. Thank you for cleaning the air.
No problem.
We did wonder another thing, because eventually you're going to have to lay down and retire, and
yes,
all good things come to an end. There was this whole subreddit article talking about a good little sign-off for you once you die, because I know people that have notability in the world get bigger funerals than most others.
Visible from space kind of thing, yes.
A lot of us were wondering, do you think that you're going to be buried at a Cash for Gold store?
At Cash for Gold store, there is... I consider it in the beginning because it will make sense with not only lots of cash that I have, but also half my body being the gold. But in thinking of logistics of it, there is no real place to bury body in Cash for Gold store. You have linoleum floorboards, and I don't really want to be kind of like buried treasure human being person,
Right.
where you have to like rip up floor, lose security deposit is not very nice. Somewhere where the dirt is very much like loam and easy to move aside so that they can be laid down without disturbing existing establishments. So actually what I've been thinking of doing is getting large plot of land out in probably Midwestern America where there is, bumfuck nothing nowhere. And in deed of purchase for that land, call it Cash and Gold store, but in reality construct nothing. So a sort of loophole that I have on flimsy laws of this nation, where I am buried not only in large plot of land where it would be easy to sift aside and not disturb the Mother Nature creations, but also legally is Cash and Gold store.
There you go. You heard it here first, folks. All of that written down, pen and paper, set in stone.
Exactly.
Now, we are close to running out of time, unfortunately. You are on the show. Obviously, you've got something to promote, and
absolutely,
we would like to give you the rest of the time if you want to go ahead and say what you're here for.
Yes. No. This is new thing that I am taking. It is in people sometimes call me hypocrite in my journey against hypocrisy, because they say, you go to concert, you stay up, you clap in order to show the people that they are stupid, but is like throwing rock at drowning man when you cannot swim because you are not going up on stage and doing things yourself. Exactly. So I am doing sort of brief acoustic concert vanity project tour, where I go around with my ukulele and I am playing music, but there is a rule where no one is allowed to clap or applaud or stand at all, because I am saying this is integrity of art is why I'm doing this. I am up on stage, I am playing you my music, and you will all frown like terracotta warriors guarding dead Chinamen. Because if you stand up and clap, it says that I need to do this for your approval, but it is really not the approval that I need to do this for. It is for the playing of the ukulele, it is for the spreading of the art, and it is for the $500 ticket price.
Exactly. So you're doing it for the money,
exactly,
as well as making
money, but not the fame is very important.
Money, but not the fame, but at the same time,
you don't need to like me. You just need to pay for maintenance of my solid gold leg and penis.
Right, and being very sad. So that's another thing people didn't really realize.
I'm a very sad man.
You are a very sad man, but a very inspirationally sad man.
Exactly.
And we all
It is important to have higher echelon of suffering that you can look at and say, at least I am not as bad as this man. This very sad gold leg man.
Well, thank you so much for being on the show with us, Little Ole No Legs.
Absolutely, sure.
It was wonderful seeing you, and thank you so much, and we will let you go now if you wish so bad.
Sort of squeak on out with my legs.
We'll let Fidler come back so we can do the outro.
Exactly. I really love these outros where it just kind of comes out of the second interview and there's no like solid thing that we have to say in the outro, so it's usually just a bunch of bullshit.
Because a lot of this entire show is improvised, and now we're just going off of more improv.
Exactly. If we were in a better place, this is where we would talk about our sponsors and our subreddit, but no, it's just us jerking off.
I actually looked up if we could get sponsors right before this, and I don't know. And
cool.
Is I wish I didn't bring it up because now I'm sad.
So if you want to check out Squarespace, don't.
Yeah, if you want to check out Wix, don't. And if you really, really have this urge to check out this place called YouTube, I highly don't recommend it.
Yeah, Blue Apron, a worse way to cook.
Blue Apron, a terrible way to cook.
We like podcasts here at Welcome Back.
If you sponsor us, I promise you'll change our mind.
Well, that's Zane and I'm Fidler, and we're done.
Thank you, and we will see you later where we can welcome you back to Welcome
Back.
Welcome you back to Welcome Back.